my perspective on and all the things that I've been through to offer some knowledge and some wisdom to people who may potentially want to go into special operations, either whatever branch that may be. That like let's see what the end kind of looks like, and we'll get to that in a bit. But so why does the Department of Defense, seek out or want people who have come from a broken past? And so, to me, it's we can tolerate a lot of negativity. We can tolerate a lot of hard times that a lot of people who maybe from here in California came from the Valley and haven't experienced anything that's hard, that as we see it, there's financial problems. We have broken families. We have drug abuse. We have alcohol abuse. We have gangs. We've surrounded ourselves with there's really tough, hard people until we're 18. If I went to college, you went straight in. But so you get a young person who's been living on the streets, hustling, and now you're going to be like, we're going to mold that guy into something that we can put out into the world to kind of do those same type of meddlings that they grew up in their neighborhood.
The same type of meddlings. I love that.
So, and in the height of the war and the GWAT and all this, like compared to right now, what's happening in the climate of the military, like in 2010, like what were we doing? We're fighting in Iraq, and we're fighting in Afghanistan in some really tough neighborhoods. And you're going to say that we want the guys with the cleanest background to come and go fight in those neighborhoods? I just don't think it's not a possible thing. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense, right? So to say that we want people with a broken past to go fight for America is absolutely the truth, because we don't want the brightest, the richest dying for America. Why? Like, let's just lose the people that are from a place that they won't be remembered. I mean, to me, that makes a lot of sense. But we're sold on something that's a little different than what that sounds like. We're sold on, like, we can change people's lives. You can free the oppressed. And that means a lot to a place where we've been oppressed our whole lives. And like, you're telling me I have the ability with 11 other guys to change the course of someone's life. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
It's pretty cool. And, we get to do it. We got to, really be able to see that impact firsthand. And so that's why I think it's very plausible that in the selection process that the guys that don't quit is because there's this driving force that has been grown inside us since we were little that can't be bought, can't be, picked up at a store. It is ingrained into who we are as people, and you can see it and you can smell it. That resonates off of those guys that come from fucking bad places. It's really easy to see after the days of no sleep and no food or limited at stuff. Like, the guys that in their eyes that you can see that there's pain in that soul that we want. And like that guy, and as my time in the service and in the regiment, like I start to understand it a little bit better than I did when I was in selection. Is that type of guy will give his life for someone else. And it's either, the guys that go through RASP or go to Coal Range or go to CAG selection. Those guys are willing to give their whole entire soul and body for someone else to live.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we want that. That's who we are.
That's the point.
Yeah.
But it's you almost want to tell yourself that you're the only one that knows that, though. And I think that's kind of the hurtful part about it when you made it so obvious, is I didn't want it to be obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I want me to know I'm damaged and me to know why I will die for a stranger. But I don't want necessarily the cadre to see that and to use it. Because then it changes the dynamic, it changes the perspective of it. I wouldn't change it. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't change it, but it just hurts my feelings a little bit. And when you said, and it made even more sense because you're like, think about it like a unit that needs to be on standby, ready to deploy. And does the command really want to know what's going on and really want people to be honest about how much they're drinking or what they're doing or how... Dude, it hasn't even been that long, and I say this with shame, that I've been to a bar and tried to really, really hurt somebody. And I know that that's just the pent-up trauma and all this stuff that could be used by others, but it's like, you're right. Do they want that to be fixed, or do they want it to be just below the surface enough until they decide to use it?
I think that threshold of going too far needs to be managed, right? The commander needs the guys ready to do bad things at a moment's notice, but to stay at that elite point, he does not want to know what's happening in the team room, because if they do see it, they know it, they're bound by something that makes them react to the behavior that is happening. I want those men to be behaving that way and living that life, because there's going to be a time they may be called to go do something where that lifestyle is 100% needed. And if you've been in the position where I think most of the commanders of today have been in as team leaders throughout the last 20 years or so of war, they know what's needed to be there to do the missions that are going to be asked of these men. But they don't want to be open about it. It's so you're bound by the rules of the military, but inside you, we have to have the men that are willing to bend into that gray area, right? And which is hard, I think, for some Green Berets coming back in operators to where there's the black and white and the rules of the Army, and what that commander and that team sergeant are bound by as those leaders. That we want to be like, well, we acted and did certain things while we were deployed. Why isn't it the same way here?